that would completely change the dynamic of the population projections. If somebody came in and asked for more density, that would change, but the 280 today is based on the platted lots, vested rights of all the subdivisions, because we've counted all of them. And then we've counted our other multifamily land uses and the current zoning, so that is our capacity under zoning and vested units today. And it's always subject to change, and it will change. Everything ebbs and flows over time. So, I like these. I like these. Oh, hold on, I think I had them mixed up because I didn't have coffee this morning. Okay, so I showed you the little square 1959, the city. These were the parcels added to the tax roll from 1959 to 1989. Okay, so it's really just kind of stays in this urban core, and we've got some smattering up in the ag estates, and then you can see a lot of it follows the our collector roadways. 1990 to 1999. That was the improved parcels. This one,
wow.
yeah, 2000 to 2008. This is just during the boom. That's incredible. And I want to say to you, we are only one quarter built out. Platted lots. See if I had anything epic I was going to say about that. Nope. All right. I have this map over here. Some of you saw it. Because again, a map says it better than I can. This is broken down by time frame. This is 1959 to 1979. These are the dates, but then they break it down a little further. We've added 2010 to 2014. But you saw on the last map all the green and the yellow. That green was during the boom, and then 2010 to 2014. Really not a whole lot of activity, but you know, there's some commercial. This is the one, this is what's happening. This was happening during the recession, and this is what's happening now. This guy out here is exploding, absolutely exploding. We're platting hundreds of lots going through commission, so that's the one to watch, but the color really shows you what happened during that building boom. And who is it out there? This is the West Villages Improvement District. This whole area. This whole area is the West Villages.
On the way to Paradiso.
Yeah, this is Grand Paradiso, and this is Island Walk.
Do they all have city water and sewage out there?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. All right, so we've talked people. Now let's talk about what the city's going to look like when they're built out based on today's map, which again is always changing. People are coming in for amendments. And then we're also going to talk about what's been set aside for conservation, recreation, open space as well. Now, the city is 67,000 acres. And I told you before, the platted lots, the 65,000 platted lots, you can see them. This is all the beige. All this beige are platted lots. That's all 65,000 platted lots in beige. So when you drive through your neighborhoods and you see all those platted lots, you want to know what that's what it's going to look like. 25,000 acres. This big, 25,000 acres, or 38% of the city, is single-family platted lots, vested platted lots. interest to this group, there are 10,000 acres of conservation lands in the city of Northport. 15% of the entire acreage of the city is conservation. Recreation and open space. Recreation open space, you can see it here in bright green. 3,345 acres, or 5% of the entire city. Recreation open space. And again, that does not include most of our city parks. It does have some of the larger community parks on here. This is a park, it's not included on there. We'll talk about the city parks in a minute.
That includes the greenways as well? The recreation open space?
Just what you see here in bright green.
Yakahachie Creek, is that what you're asking about?
Yes, this area here is the Myakatchee Creek. The city has purchased and is continuing to attempt to purchase. We have completed the first row flanking the entire creek all the way up. This is the Myakka Environmental Park, and then the city owns all of this. And then we have right here, we have purchased the first and are attempting to complete the second row of platted lots all along the creek. It's the hopes that this whole area will become a linear park, and we'll go all the way up and connect. And again, most of you know that we're building a bridge at the very top of the environmental park that will then connect you to the Carlton Preserve, and you'll be able to go all the way out to, I mean, extensive property for horseback riding and biking.
How many acres is that? Is that, I heard it's like 25,000 or something.
The
Carlton.
Carlton, oh my gosh.
It's up there.
It's enormous, right? I mean, because you've got the Carlton, you've got the Fee Carlton, you've got the Walton Ranch, you've got the R.V. Griffin, you've got your Prairie Creek. We are surrounded by environmental lands through Sarasota County. But I would like to include, and you know, I was thinking about this morning, and I think it's important to talk about the agricultural estates up here in yellow. All this in yellow, all the way over here, these are 3 to 5 acre parcels, and it's a lot of open space. So they're for homes and agriculture, but I think that that's an important component when you're thinking about wildlife, because I live up by there, and I've got deer, and I've got bobcats, and I have all kinds of birds, and I mean, I have amazing wildlife out here. I don't live in the big lots. I live on the platted lots, but still, I'm surrounded by wildlife, and I thought, you know, I think sometimes we forget, you know, we've got conservation and open space, but we have 9,212 acres of agricultural estates. That is 14% of the city on top of the others that we're talking about. That is really a wonderful habitat for wildlife, and all of the, there's a lot of wetlands, and not only that, but in a little bit we'll talk about wildlife corridors. Could we not consider that a wildlife corridor as it connects to the Carlton, the R.V. Griffin, the Walton, and Deer Prairie Creek? So I think that's an important component.
Yeah, and it's important to know that, you know, that's part of that whole philosophy between 3 and 5 acres, that they could never be subdivided. You know,
Love
they-
that.
you know,
Minimum 3 acres.
Right.
Yep.
I agree that's an asset, and I'm unaware of any other city that has agricultural zoning inside the city limits, which makes Northwood pretty unique.
I agree. I mean, I really, until, you know, because I've only lived out there for 3 years, and I guess I probably wouldn't have made that statement had I not moved out there and see what I see with the horses and then the natural habitat and the birds. You know, I think it's an important component of wildlife conservation just to have that open space. So this totals 34% of the city designated for conservation, open space, and agricultural uses. So the takeaway from that is, even though we're 105 square miles, the city has taken great strides to protect or enhance what we have, or purchase properties to give us corridors and open space and spaces for wildlife to, you know, to have a safe place. A safe place to go. I mean, we have scrub jay habitat here, and we have scrub jay habitat out here, but what we're finding is you know, you hope that you can, you know, move them in talking to the professionals, getting them to move, you know, over here to a more protected area like Deer Prairie Creek, because they're really having a hard time with cats and dogs and things getting to them, so. It's problematic. I've been working with the scrub jays since 2005, so I think we've done some good work. So we'll continue to talk about land, and then we'll get into kind of how that works in with commercial development. Right now, the city only has about 15% net buildable acres for your non-residential activity. We have twice as much land set aside for conservation and recreation and open space than we do for commercial. Twice as much. And that 15% really isn't enough. And again, that goes back to why we did those annexations, because we don't have enough of a mixture of land to support 280,000 people at build out. So the city continues to strive to make that balance of housing type, single family, townhome, multifamily, lower income, moderate income, high income, all these components. It's really about balance and fiscal responsibility and fiscal neutrality. So, to the last slide, when I said we have twice as much in conservation and preservation than we do commercial, these are our 8 activity centers. These are the places, this is where your commercial development and multifamily is gonna go. And then there's about 1,000 acres set aside for commercial and multifamily within the West Villages Improvement District. So, not included in the numbers that I gave you, and I just kind of want to go through when we're talking about when somebody comes into the city and they have a large subdivision, that we also take great strides to protect and set aside lands. Heron Creek, for example, this is all the houses. All of this is golf course, open space, wetlands. So it's not like they came in, if you don't go in there, it's not completely built out with homes. They definitely use corridors. I think they've got a scrub jay habitat inside, protected inside the DRI. This side will pretty much be all commercial. But again, in our code, they have to have a certain percentage set aside for recreation, open space. Same thing with Activity Center 4. And I just felt it was important to show you guys what we do with these large-scale developments. This is the Woodlands everybody know where the Woodlands?
No.
Panacea?
No.
This is Toledo Blade, and this is I-75. Okay? Woodlands Elementary School out here, right here. And this is the Snover Waterway. Okay? So this is a 3,500 acre development of regional impact. All of these areas right here, you see, these are all preserved. No building will be done on them. And I just wanted to give you an example, and this is about preserving wetlands and wildlife corridors. Right here you can see Eagle's Nest Protection Area. 774 acres of open space and preservation lands and 58 acres of upland preserve, totaling 847 protected acres in this DRI. Again, Toledo Blade, I-75, this is the commercial component. Even in the activity center, even in the commercial component, you're gonna see all those wetlands preserved in here. It will be a beautiful development when it's done. It's a good mix of commercial, residential, multifamily, and open space and schools all working in concert together in a beautiful setting.
The one on the right is woodlands, or the one on the left is woodland?
Oh, same, woodlands. This is the industrial park. And then this is the northeast section of I-75. This is a DRI as well. And again, they're preserving a significant amount of their habitat. I believe they're preserving one of these lakes. They're gonna turn it into an amenity. Whenever we can take something on site and turn it into an amenity to preserve it, we will definitely try to do it, but.
And that wetland is a borrow pit.
Right. It's a borrow pit. They're gonna turn it into an amenity. You'll have shops around it instead of filling it in.
And
They will fill in one of them.
it was an I-75 interchange fill.
Yeah, they just dug it up for I-75, so.
That means it's drainage for I-75. Is that what that means?
No, it was used to see the ramps, the exit entrance ramps, the bridge, the everything,
This is
Oh.
fill, they pulled fill from here.
to build that
build this
intersection.
up.
Gotcha.
And then it turned into a big borrow pit, fills up with water, you know, it's a nice lake.
They made a
Why not?
pond.
Sure, why not? It's been out there, turn it into an amenity instead of filling it in.
What's the percentage of build out? So that left corner, the left corner is Toledo Blade and 75.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Toledo Blade there to 75.
I-75.
And that's on the right map, that's the Toledo Blade exit.
Toledo Blade.
Right.
Yep, yep,
What's
same
the
thing.
percentage of that? That's Panacea
Yes.
on the left? What's the percentage of that commercial and residential and mixed use build out now?
Well, what they're allowed, they're allowed, I wanna say 2 to 3 million square feet of commercial, and they're allowed about 800,000 square feet of office, and then they're capped at 3,000, I believe 3,600 residential dwelling units.
And what percentage is that now?
You know what, they really got caught in the economy. They really haven't built very much out there. They've got Cedar Grove and Cypress Falls,
Very small.
very small percentage, but, you know, they took care of their affordable housing component with the, they have the multifamily apartments. They were called Raleigh Chase, now I can't remember what they're called now, but that was their affordable housing component for their DRI. 312 units there. And then, I don't think they've built, there's 200 out there, I'd be surprised, so.
I think they said at the meeting the other day, 300.
300, so yeah, they're going pretty slow. You know, I do have people coming in, looking at picking things up. It is taking off again up there. It'll take a little while, but they're behind. They're very far behind what the West Villages is, but.
Is there like a standard formula to say, okay, there's this amount of development, therefore there should be this amount of conservation land?
Yeah, is there like a certain percentage that you guys want to hold?
Well, it depends if it's a development of regional impact and you're falling under, state guidelines. If there's a lot of open space or what we would consider, and we went through that with, I don't have it up on the map, but we don't have like a magic formula where if you have this many houses, you have this much conservation. We just follow state guidelines if it's a DRI. If there's, we just work with the developer and, you know, there's gotta be that mix and balance. You know, these guys, in order to get through the state process, they have preserved almost all their wetland systems. But they've done that because some of our systems connect to each other. So when you go through US Fish, Florida Fish and Wildlife, when you go through Swift Mud, this system right here connects to another system. So this is a corridor, you can't break